We're live. Welcome. It's so for you guys that don't know, I'm in Singapore right now, and it's 6 a.m. right now. So really excited to be doing this webinar today. And I'm with Michael Sama. What's up, Michael?
How are you, Tian? How's everybody doing today?
Come in the chat, and we'll be monitoring the chat as we go forward. Cool. Just open this up right here. Wonderful. So yeah, 2 continents, 13 hours of difference, which is wonderful. But I want to bring Michael today to talk about some of the things I want to talk about. I know Michael is like really good at some topics, especially risk management, and that's exactly what we'll talk about today. So let's get on the slides. And I want to start right away to respect guys who join on time. Those who join late, too bad, but you can just watch the replay. And so let me share my screen right here. We have a lot to cover today, and I recommend you guys, as always, like take notes, do everything you can to stay focused. And Michael, I'll just ask you just to make sure that people see the screen. It should be fine.
Yep, perfect.
Cool, wonderful. That's great. Wonderful. So we have what's up, Wim? We have Ninja Potato. It's good. Todd, welcome, guys. That's great. I love people interacting, which is good. And I want to remind you guys, as always, the best event we do are the ones where people ask questions. They are interactive. People get more value, and we also can help more. So if you have any question during the event, comment below your question, either like on the spot or at the end, depending on what we have to cover and what we. But yeah, we just want to make sure that we help and that we go through the content we have, because we have a lot to cover, of course, as well. And that's what we'll do. So welcome, Andre. Cool, Andre. Let's say we get started shortly, but let me just hide this. I hate this stuff. Okay. Cool. So topic for this event today is going to be how to succeed in Forex trading without the perfect strategy. Bugged down to the topic of strategies, like you have to find the perfect thing that they're going to be able to make money with. But that's just a plain myth. Okay, that's just something you cannot do. Focus on other things in strategy today. And I think I strongly believe that if you focus on these things, you will see much better results in the future. Right? Like, and how with the framework. Before, there was something I cannot stand, and I see this like all the time with webinars and stuff. Webinars back when I started to trade like 4 or 5 years ago, and for some reason they all seem like this. They all seem with like full of formulas or full of content that cannot really be applied. And it's unfortunate because a lot of what you guys need is something you can apply quickly and easily. So I want to make sure that what we cover today is going to be simple, and that you're going to be able to get results with it, most importantly. Okay, like results are everything that counts here. We don't care about what information, like what topic we cover, as long as you get results. That's the best thing ever. A couple of people who joined us. Martin, welcome. Alejandro, what's up? And FME, cool. So by the end of this summit, you guys will have a framework a little faster, okay, in a matter of a month. Perfect timing now, because it's the beginning of 2018. Like a month where we really need to get focused on putting in and applying what we learn, and that's perfect. You start to apply what we talk about today, I promise you'll see a big change in 2018. And you cannot do the same thing you've done like this past year to expect better results in 2018. Okay, so really important. And I know Michael's also big on planning for success and preparing a lot. So we'll have its perspective later on. But to take most out of this summit, you guys stay focused, take notes. As always, the best way to learn is to take note and to review those notes. Okay. So if you don't have a pen and paper with you, you might as well take one and start to take notes. So today what we'll do is we'll do a small introduction, which we started to do a little bit. We'll introduce kind of new way of thinking. We'll go through the 3 techniques of ultra performing traders, where they apply every single day. And that's where I want to bring Michael on to talk about these techniques. And then a Q&A at the end. So if you have any question, as we said, comment in the chat at any time. And we're going to do our best to either answer on the spot or a little bit later on. Okay, cool. This training is not for people who expect to be given a strategy, because as I said, we won't talk about strategies today. We'll talk about more than that. and what's going to give you more result than that. In trading, I don't really know what you're doing here, but if you have an interest, stay with us and we'll make sure to help you out. And then people who are not willing to listen. I see a lot of people like get bogged down on like specific things that they want to learn, and they're not ready to implement anything about like money management or stuff. So we want to make sure that you're able to listen and apply what we talk about. So we'll do some quick introduction, and actually, quick disclaimer here, which is just the fact that we cannot provide like advice or anything. But I'll introduce myself. I know most of you guys probably know me before. You've seen either my videos or my podcast. And I'm kind of a traveling swing trader. I'm in Singapore right now. And we'll talk about that later on. I left 4 days ago from Montreal. I hosted this Art to Trade podcast. I started trading in 2013. So it's almost 5 years now. And I got my first $50,000 to trade with in 2016 from an investor. That's really what propelled me the most and what allowed me to kind of go more full-time into trading. And I specialize into trading methodology and psychology. So I like to talk about strategies, but that's not my major point. I think I personally succeeded most in trading without focusing on strategies and setup, and more focusing on psychology and methodology. So that's what I prefer the most. And Michael is just an amazing guy. I'll let you introduce yourself. Writing 2 books, Risk of Trading and Trading with Confluence. So Michael, tell people what you're up to and what you've been doing these past years.
Great. Thanks, Etienne. Great to be here. Yeah, briefly, I know we want to get to a lot of content, but I've been a certified risk manager since 2007. I started trading back in, actually, this is my 19th year. Scary, but it's been 19 years. And during that time, I've swung from trading to doing risk work in the private sector, mostly for insurance companies, financial sectors. A lot of state governments are also in tune with risk management, so they've consulted with me to handle their management of risk management with their debts and things like that. So it's been kind of cool. It keeps me sort of grounded. I love this business. I love trading. But to have that little balance of being in an office and interacting with people, it keeps me more engaged, and it allows me to get more access to technology that I could use in my trading. So it's a pretty cool gig. I'm a speaker on the Traders Expo circuit. That's mostly in the United States. They do have some in Canada, which I haven't done yet. But mostly I trade, futures and stock, but I do Forex, but mostly on the option side. But we could talk about that maybe a little later. But it's great to be here, and I hope I can give you a very unique perspective and a very different experience this next hour, as opposed to some of the other maybe webinars that you've been in the past.
Nice, wonderful. And I know you're also traveling as well, so that's really exciting. Michael, I want to share some of the places we went in the last 30 days. So for me, I've been, first of all, in Montreal. Montreal started to get really cold in like December, January. So I did a small trip to Mexico and Playa del Carmen. That was really enjoyable, really cool. There's a lot more traveling coming up, and that's going to be exciting. But those are just 2 places I went to last 30 days, which is exciting too. Michael, you've been to also a couple of places, so share a little bit about that.
Sure. I'm so jealous at the end. Singapore and Playa del Carmen, phenomenal places. It's interesting. I was thinking,
Shanghai and stuff like that.
I just came back from Shanghai. I try to go every year to China and Asia. It's just a great place. The people are just so entrepreneurial and engaging. And Shanghai is sort of the financial center of that. And I also do consulting with some Shanghai companies and individuals for trading as well there. They definitely have the trading bug. In addition to that, I just came back from Florida, actually 6 days ago, and actually be heading back there in about 3 weeks. I'm a resident in the New York area in the United States, so it's a rough winter, just like in Montreal. So I try to get to our home in Florida a lot, and I have all the technology set up there so I can trade, full time and things like that. Where else have I been? Philippines a few months back, and Japan. That's right. I just got back. When I was in Shanghai, took some time, more of a pleasure thing, with my wife to Japan. I went to a couple ports there, and I definitely want to go back there. What a great, great country. I didn't want to leave, so I've slated that for later this year sometime. And the best part about it is phenomenal Wi-Fi, Etienne. If you're interested. So great trading platform, which is always a challenge when we travel.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that in Japan, and especially Tokyo. But yeah, cool. That really shows you guys that when you get a hold of trading and when you understand the process and you put all these things, like all these kind of, I want to say routines or habits or rituals inside, and you really get consistent with those, you can open a whole lot of doors of like traveling and being whatever you want. And of course, it's not easy. Like it takes time and something you have to develop over time. But it's really showing you, and I hope it help you understand that you are able to travel and do more than just stay in the winter and just in the cold. But that's really up to you, of course. You have to be willing to travel. Okay, let's get back to you guys. So succeeding in trading, we say it's simple but not easy, and I just talked about that a few seconds ago. So the fact that yeah, like it's really simple trading, but it takes some time to master it and to understand the process and put everything in place. But fortunately for us, and especially for you guys, Michael is really good at kind of summarizing everything and making it really, really simple. So that's going to be awesome. I want to kind of share an example first of a car. So cool thing is my brother just bought a car recently, and that's not this one. That's like a little bit higher end. But the thing with the car is that you have to put in some work on it, right? You have to put some gas. You have to change the tires. You have to do all these things to make sure that your car stay nice. Otherwise, if you don't do this, your car's going to be like falling apart, and that's not what you want. So most important thing, if you want your car to run, you have to put gas in it. Okay, and the same thing goes trading. If you want your trading to work fine, you have to fuel it with kind of gas. But gas and trading is going to be a different thing than gas for a car. So this is the first technique I want to show you guys right now. It's to make good use of gas to achieve your trading goals. And I found out over time that there's really three parts to being able to sustain growth in trading. That means no matter what stage you're at right now, you need to grow and you need to sustain that growth until you get to the point where you want to be. And even then, you have to still grow. But for now, you really have to focus on growth. And that's done with adding some gas. And gas is going to be JAS. I'll show you guys exactly what that is. But first of all, we talk about growth or continual growth. Okay, this is for the J. Here's a quote I really love from Kim Collins. He's a 2003 world champion in the in sprint. He said, "Strive for continuous improvement instead of perfection," and that works so well because no matter what point you're at right now, what really matters is how you improve and how consistently you improve, how consistently you go forward, and how consistently you become better. It doesn't matter. Like you cannot do these big changes that are gonna transform trading forever. You have to build things over time, and you have to be able to keep that growth all the time if you really want to become better. And you try to get a little bit better every day. So someone sent me a video a couple of days ago about I think it's called Kaizen. Michael, do you know about Kaizen?
Oh yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So the principle is that you don't focus on big change. Like it's about companies in Japan, and especially Honda and Toyota, that they don't focus on big change. What they focus on is like changing these small things every single day, so that over time they get a better and better and better outcome. And I don't know, Michael, if you have any example for trading about that topic or Kaizen, how they can be applied. I don't know.
Yeah,
Trying to
well,
think of one now.
Kaizen theory also, when the word didn't come up yet, but when we talk about continuous improvements and stuff, is really commitment. It's commitment. The Kaizen theory is also about commitment for the baby steps. So it's not just baby steps, but the commitment to it. And to be honest with you, in my experience with coaching and trading, really, I look at two handfuls of traders, the ones that have succeeded and the one who hasn't. And really, the ones who did definitely had this commitment. I mean, they were looking at charts on Saturday mornings, at 6 a.m. And, they're just doing things that just over and about that, where the others, and I see this now recently where I got a lot of calls to help with doing some speaking or consulting for this, sort of Bitcoin craze. And, I say to myself, you're going to, these quote unquote traders are going to learn the hard way. And obviously at the end, that's what we're here to do, to prevent the guests here today from sort of learning the hard way. But it does take commitment, it does take time, and there's a difference in results when you have that commitment or not. And that's really the Kaizen theory.
Love it, love it. That's a big keyword, commitment. I love it. And there's a couple of ways to grow, like, and you guys will know those ways, but there's some external source where you can grow, so like things like books, going to social event, which is the way I learned the most social events. So meeting traders in person. I would kind of call my podcast a social event, although it's not really social, but whatever. And then courses and mastermind. So those are ways you can learn with external sources. But that's not gonna really help you grow that much. You're gonna get to a certain level. Yes, you'll become better, but you also need to apply these into those sources. So things like inside you or inside your trading that are more close to you a little bit. So doing things like performance reviews, mental preparation, strong team, all these things will help. And all these things are also essential because if you just like read 1,000 book, you will get the knowledge of 1,000 book, but you won't get the application and the results of those books. So really important to put these things in place. And when we talk about team, we talk about all the people surrounding you. And Michael knows as much as I do how much the people you have around you help you trade well or not well. And that's exactly what you have to control at all times. Good morning, Archer. Welcome. Cool. Second part is going to be analysis. And analysis is really crucial. I think if I had to pick like one topic or one big category that helped me the most become better in trading and improve, that would be analysis for sure. Okay, that's the A into gas, so the second letter. Michael, I know you're big on analysis too, but one of the things you can start doing is really track your trades and track everything you do. Track what we call your compliance level. And I don't know, Michael, you want to introduce that topic a little bit? What's going to be compliance level and how can people kind of track to improve?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it actually in a little bit, but I'm a big data-driven guy. You know this, and I look at myself as sort of a data analyst as opposed to a trader per se, or more of a project manager, where I'm here just to execute a plan or taking data that has historical results and really just repeating that until those results differ. So in a sense, I've kind of simplified my trading throughout the years. And again, the guests here will be the beneficiaries of that. But this analysis part is, if you notice, we haven't seen any charts or anything like that yet. It's all about these techniques and analysis and key performance stuff. We can't overemphasize the criticality of how important this stuff is to your success. It's I know a lot of people like to look at charts and trends and things like that, but we're really emphasizing these key components to success here.
Yeah. And when you get to the point where the only thing you look at is like the data and what data tells you, and you just do what data tells you, like it's much more rewarding, and you're much more stress free, right? You don't have to focus on, well, how do I look at the market the right way? You just do what the data tells you, and that's the only thing you do. Basically, that's your job, which is really simple to do. Right. So third part is going to be symptoms. And that is a little bit broad, so I want to expand on that a little bit. But we often hear people say like, "I'm not confident," or "I'm not like I have this fear when I trade. I'm not able to place trades." Certain symptoms. So I want to share an example of 4 days ago. So 4 days ago, I was leaving from Montreal to Beijing, and it's late. Okay, planes are always late, most pretty much all the time. But so let's say the company wanted to improve on that lateness, and they wanted their plane not to be late. Like one of the manager could come up and say, well, we need to stop having late departures. We need to from today be like always on time. But if they're only going to tell this, like it's not going to improve that much, right? Because it's not only a matter of being on time. It's a matter of why are you late or why are you not on time? And that's really like the symptom is being late, but there's a reason why they're late. And that could be it took too long to refuel the plane. The planes, I don't know, took a different route. They had to wait to take off. They had to wait to get to the gate. And all these things are the real reason. And we don't tackle lateness. We tackle the reason why planes are late. And the same thing goes for trading. So we need to ask yourself, what's the real cause of something? Okay, so for example, lacking confidence. We don't say, well, how can I be confident? We say, what's the real cause of me not being confident? Because confidence is only, it's not what you need to work on. It's only kind of the result of your prior action, if you did things right or not. And we see all the time people are not confident. They wonder why they're not trading right, why they cannot put trades. And oftentimes the reason is like they don't have a plan. or they don't know the result of their plan. They're not really sold out and clear on what are going to be the outcome of that plan. And like, we cannot know the outcome for sure, of course, but we can at least have a good idea. And that's going to bring confidence into being able to trade your plan. So ask yourself, what's the real cause of not being confident? Is it that you don't have a plan? Is it that you didn't like prepare yourself? Or is it like, there could be many, many ways. But really ask yourself, like, write down, even if you in your journal, if you can, what you feel right now. What's the thing that kind of is preventing you from succeeding? What is going to be a feeling or whatever? And ask yourself, what's the real cause? And if you don't find the answer, that's where you have to reach out to a coach and to someone around you that knows about trading, knows about what it takes to succeed in trading. And it can tell you, like, based on how you feel, they can really tell you probably what are going to be the cause of that feeling. Okay, so really important to analyze yourself and take some time off to look at yourself. Okay, that's crucial. Now, we did take number one, gas. So we'll just recap a little bit. J stands for growth, A for analysis, and then S for symptoms. Okay. Technique number two is going to be where we really, like, Michael knows that topic a lot, and that's why I wanted to bring him today. Risk management. How to strive in trading with risk management. There are kind of these stages that I see in traders. The first one is the stage where people don't give a shit about risk. They just trade, and they could be like this guy right here on climbing a rock or a mountain with maybe a rope, maybe no rope, but they don't really know what they're doing. Okay. And the result of that are what people are typically going to fail. Right? Then so I'm sure, Michael, you've seen that before in the past. People who don't care about risk at all, and they fail, right?
Yeah, sure. And you know, in full honesty, haven't we all kind of started that way? I mean, you know,
Exactly.
we don't get into this business thinking, okay, the first thing I got to do is pull out a risk management book. You know, we're looking for, you know, the trading platform, like, you know, setting up the account and, you know, when can I push the button, the buy button. That's what this guy's doing. You know, he's just running to open his account and push the buy button. And you know, just say, yeah, you know, the result is the result that you see there. Sure.
Exactly. And then there's this second stage, which is where you start to care about risk. And some of you guys, I know, who said that? So Wim so WM talked about the fact that he wants to get some processes in place to learn good risk management or good money management with simple rules. That's kind of where you start to think about risk a little bit. You start to care a little bit. And you would be like that guy right here. They have some ropes. They know what they're doing. They're equipped. But usually that's the point where you only think about how much can I risk per trade, what money can I make, and how can I not blow up my account. But that is good. And Michael, I'll let you talk about that. What that
Yeah,
looks
sure.
like.
Well, I love working with people like this who, you know, clearly they've identified, you know, the need to put some type of, you know, risk framework into their plan or their goal. But at the same time, you know, they may learn by doing, and you know, they may have read a book on how to, you know, hook up these wires and things like that. But you know, getting from, you know, maybe their goal is to get up this leveraged hill or whatever they're trying to climb, the side of a building or something. But you know, if they did it 50 times, would it all have the same outcome? You know, hopefully successful. Probably not. Something's either going to break or snap or things like that. So you know, one of the things about caring about risk is, first of all, you took that first step to identify I need to do something, but now let's work on more consistency. If I did this once, okay, maybe all three of these guys, you know, would reach the top of the building or whatever. But you know, how about doing it 50 or 100 times? Or how about in bad weather or different conditions? Have they considered all that? That's kind of what risk management really does. Identify the situation, assess if there's anything different to that situation, and then what could I do to control the outcome to make sure I'm consistent throughout the whole time.
Nice. And we'll just take a step back. So when you start to care about risk, you can still be losing a lot, and you can still not be profitable, because, like, caring about risk, you know how much you're going to lose, but you can keep losing that amount over time, and that's not really the point. So then there's this next part, which is you start to become an ultra performing trader. That's when you start to think about really risk and what risk entails. And that's where Michael really understands the whole process, and he has a framework to manage risk. So I'll let you share that framework a little bit, Michael.
Sure, sure. Yeah, when you get to that level, I mean, when you make that transformation, and when I did, and I try to do with my students, is you get into this sort of I don't care attitude. I don't care about profits and loss. I don't care about results. My job is really, I'm transforming myself from a trader to more of a project manager, and the project manager is really to execute a plan. The results are kind of put along the side, and based on the historical results and things like that. But really, you're just so focused on executing a plan, and your success, or how you define success, and we'll talk about P&L and win loss and how it's really not that important, is, did I execute my plan properly? So when you make that transformation to an ultra performing trader, it's like, again, you become more of a data analyst and a project manager. In fact, when I teach students, I always say, stop calling yourself a trader from today. Like, you are no longer a trader, you're fired. Just become a project manager. And what's your job? Execute a valid and approved plan. And once that transformation takes place, where you're sort of, I don't care about results, I don't care about outcomes, you're just so focused on compliance and rewarding yourself, that's really where you become an ultra performing trader, and you'll see those results improve. But I think more importantly at the end is more consistently, your results are more consistent. And I think once you've reached that level, then you can start doing these things in Singapore and China, and you just kind of consistently, how they say this, make the donuts. Just every morning, just make donuts. And when it becomes that repetitious, then I think you've reached that level of ultra performing trader, where you sort of do it without even really thinking about it.
Exactly. Love how that's explained. That's powerful and really awesome. Well, really well said. And the next technique we want to talk about. So risk management really important, and I think Michael summarized the whole point. But next thing is going to be how to unlock the ability to trade for others, and that's something I've discovered kind of over time. And I know Michael has like some good frameworks on that too. But I know some of you guys want to trade for other people, and that's really cool. That's a good goal to have. Some of you guys just want to have your own account. But if you get to a point where you're so good in trading that you can trade for other people, you would be so good to trade for yourself as well. So getting to that point is really, really crucial, even if you're going to trade for yourself. You want to be as solid if you're going to trade for other people as for yourself. Okay. So in 2015, that's like 3 years ago, I was sitting down with a trader from an institution who was working in Montreal, and I just paid him $2,000 for coaching. Now, one of the things he said in the beginning probably was worth the whole amount that I paid him for, and he said exactly this: wins versus losses shouldn't even matter. That shouldn't be in your vocabulary. Like, you shouldn't say I won a trade or I lost a trade. What really is going to be important? And he said, I won't ever look at your trading account and ask if you made money, but I'll look at your account and ask if you did the right thing. If you did the right thing, then good for you. If you didn't do the right thing, well, we have to work on something, and we have to become better at something. So here's the biggest myth. The myth in trading that we can just start to trade, we just place our trades, we go away, we're done, and everything is good. We'll make money. Okay, that's a big myth. That's something that most people don't realize. And most of you guys might understand that this is right. Like, you place your trade, you close the platform, you're done. You just go away and you come back the next day. But there's all these other things we have to do on this side. And if you're going to trade for other people, or even if you're going to trade for yourself, like, it's your own money. You don't want to lose your money. You have to be able to develop all the systems in place, all the things you do on this side. And whether it's going to be reviews and I'll let Michael talk about that for sure, because that's going to be awesome. So how to fast track trading for others, Michael?
Yeah, well, it's you brought up an interesting dynamic there, where we say we're trading for ourselves, and then maybe we're trading for others, or managing other people's money. But one of the things I'd like to talk to the attendees today about, just maybe a little snippet to think about tonight. Maybe you wake up at 3 a.m. saying, that guy Mike, he put this bug in my head. there shouldn't be any difference. If you're trading for yourself, think about this and make this transformation. Think about it as your business. You know,
Yeah.
when you trade for other people, there's definitely a different dynamic where you're accountable, whether it's not just performance, but there's a lot of documents, and there's a sort of a buzz we have in our business in risk management is called enterprise risk management, where it's not just about risk management for the product or results. It's about, the accountability, the regulatory risks aspects of managing other people's money and all the different regulations. Risk management really takes on a different role. There's even a marketing role to that too. But if maybe one takeaway you think takeaway from this presentation is, maybe I should trade like I'm managing other people's money. It adds an element of accountability, which quite honestly, I don't see too often with individual traders. They're just like, well, I had a bad day. I had a bad day. Well, make you your number one customer. And the best way to do that is have a second person sort of be accountable for. I'm a big coach fan, obviously, to engage in coaching, but you can use other people, fellow traders, the social network that Etienne talked about, and dare I say, even maybe your spouse or good friend. Boy, try to explain to them when you had a bad day or you weren't compliant. You'll think twice before you push that button again, to do something crazy. So think about that. Think about your trading as your own business. Really, you should managing your business, because it really is your own business.
Yeah, I love that. And I want you to go back a little bit also on the topic of risk, because since I started to trade for other people, and especially since I got in touch with you and we started to talk about risk, one of the things I got really better at, I think, is to identify the risk and to identify more of the risks that are around my trading. Like it's not only about losing a trade; it's about maybe you lose power, maybe you miss trades, maybe you're on a boat and you cannot trade. All these things are a bigger risk that we need to take into account when we trade for other people. So
Sure.
perhaps, do you see kind of a bigger risk in trading or something that people don't think about sometimes that they really should focus on starting today?
Yeah, I think, well, if there's a sort of a risk management framework in 20 seconds or less, there's three kind of principles: is risk identification, assess, and control. And that's sort of a little takeaway. If you can sort of write those down in your notes: identify, assess, control. So what we do as risk managers, we'll try to identify all the things that are preventing you from reaching your goals or reaching your optimum level of performance. Um, and then we'll assess them and say, okay, are these a big impact to your business? Some may be, and some may not. And then we'll put controls in place to basically reduce those exposures, so to speak, when they occur. So, so good part of risk management is increasing your success as far as profitable trading, but a lot of it is reducing the bad stuff. And uh, identification is the most critical part of risk management, because it says, okay, if you don't identify what the problem is, like, how am I going to sort of assess it and manage it and things like that? So, and that would go for individual traders. Obviously, when you're managing other funds, now it's not just about performance. Now it's about, how do I communicate my results? How do I handle a bad month? What's the sort of relationship that I have to deal with? And let's face it, when you're doing that, you're sort of, there's a marketing element too. Do I want to grow my business and maybe get additional dollars from other groups and things like that? So there's a lot to this enterprise risk management, and that's really a cool Google search, enterprise risk management. You'll see some fascinating stuff there that you can apply for your trading business. But again, if you don't identify, assess, and control, you can't do it. And a lot of times it's I find the best results is when you have someone else help you, because let's face it, we're traders, we have egos, and we're all perfect, right? So it's sometimes when you have a second person, an independent person, they can kind of look at you objectively and look at your results. I mean, I can do audits of trade journals and identify areas of concerns within 5 minutes, and that's how you sort of the data analytics of risk management, which again identify issues that we're going to resolve, and then it's going to make you a better trader and ultimately a better successful business.
Nice. One of the shifts I've made over time is to kind of look at my results the same way I would present them to an investor. And I got this when I started to present my results to investors with like a statement and stuff of all the results. And now I'll do the same thing for myself, which is kind of what you talked about, and it really makes a big difference. Because now you look at yourself on a kind of business way as if you were to look at your business result. And that makes it more real and more important for you to find ways to improve as well.
And it
Cool.
doesn't it make you more compliant? Doesn't like those results are going to be in your
Oh yeah.
written package at the end of the month? Doesn't it make you think twice on a Friday afternoon, like maybe I shouldn't take this trade, or it's outside of my plan? But it really keeps you honest and keeps you again compliant with your trading plan, which ultimately is what risk management is all about.